Okay, well, we'll come back here. We got to watch the intro and listen to the... Do you guys want us to sing it for you?
There it is.
There, perfect.
Hey, guys.
Hey,
everybody. Thank you so much for being here. For anybody who might be watching who doesn't know who the hell we are, we're just four friends, four nerds who talk about all things TTRPGs, and that's what we're going to do today.
That's what
I'm
we're going to
Evan.
do. Mm-hmm. I'm Matt.
I'm Allison, or AK.
And I'm Fitz.
Yay!
Yay.
Bring.
Bring.
Oh,
Thank you.
Oh, phew. I almost had no
Sorry.
idea who was here with us because I didn't go.
it's my evil alter ego. Stiff.
Let's welcome some people. So thanks to everybody who went to one destination, chatted for a while, came to another destination. We've got Galaxy Fox Night Sky. We've got Cozy Cassie. We've got Tabletop Phoenix. We've got Jax. I saw Fanboy. I see Torin is in there. Who else is here? Tatamo is here. Some new friends, some familiar faces. Matt is here. Another Matt, not that Matt. Not to be confusing.
It's fine. There's plenty of us.
Grand old dwarf.
Grand old dwarf.
Not a fair one, a grand one.
Mortal Bane. I'm glad Mortal Bane is here because I think that they missed our shout out last night. I think they had to skedaddle to bed. As we
our shout out or our blame? Spoiler alert.
Can we get a ruling on how to pronounce Meithoes?
It's Meathos.
Okay, my vote is
Meathos is definitely my vote.
And if it's not,
I like
let us just pronounce it that way.
Mythos.
Oh, like mythos, maybe? Like
they're mythos.
Like
Thank you.
Cthulhu mythos. Yeah,
nope, it's
mythos.
Mythos spirits.
Would you consider meat hose? Just
can we call you meat hose?
Rude.
Special privilege.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll not faff too much, y'all, because we know we had a lot of tech difficulties and folks are joining us on lunch breaks and things like that. So the only thing we want to call out before we get into the DC20 Post-Mortem thoughts, questions, anything like that, is we just want to call out that December, obviously, is a bit of a chaotic month for literally everybody. So coming up, we wanted to go ahead and just alert y'all for what we have down the pipeline. Next week, unfortunately, AK will not be with us, but the rest of us will be porting our DC20 characters from DC20 to 5e just to show and compare how a level 1 character in DC20 does or does not work in 5e. We're gonna learn together. We just want to see what that experience is like.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna take those 5e versions on the 15th, and we're going to pit them against the raccoons from the Mutants of Rage. And just see what happens. You know, we want to see what level 1 in DC20 looks like versus 5e. I think we already know one thing. They're going to be more fun in DC20.
TPK.
And it's definitely going to be a TPK for the 5e little dinky, has no tricks in their bags group.
Matt's greatest dreams realized.
Yes. And then the 22nd will be our last show for the year. We are going to be dark on the 29th. But Matt and AK and maybe me, we'll see, I'm tentative, are going to host a Christmas holiday pagan extravaganza.
I have festive headwear ready to go. Yeah. 2 options, actually.
Wow.
See, like roll for headwear.
I'll be wearing headgear.
Yeah.
Yes.
From my teenage years.
Yeah, I'm going to find my headgear from 1990 something and wear it too.
Yeah. No,
I had to wear headgear to school for 6 months. I don't want to hear it.
Me too, honey bunch.
There we go. Really?
I had to wake up with Matt's headgear on my head because we had bunk beds as kids, and it would pop out of his mouth and it would land. I was on the bottom bunk, and I would wake up with Matt's headgear on me.
I'm still sorry about that.
Bivens lore I never expected to hear.
Wow.
Yeah, you're welcome, everybody.
You're welcome.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Look, it's Baz. Baz, look. It's Baz.
Holy.
Look.
And it seems like we have a couple of folks who've already said their Fridays are just like not it today. So we're going to bring some dopamine. Yeah. We're going to dopamine here in the DC20 verse.
Please.
Come on.
That's my dopamine Salt Bay, by the way, in case anybody was curious what that was.
Do it off your elbow.
Just going to sprinkle it everywhere.
Sprinkle it in. So fair warning, y'all. We know that part 2 only aired last night. We're seeing a lot of familiar faces, so hopefully y'all have seen it already or don't care about spoilers, but this is your last chance to turn away because spoilers ahead in about 5 seconds.
Spoilers
come back.
Ahoy!
We will not be offended if you leave right now and come back and watch this later after you've seen part 2. Otherwise, you've been warned. It's coming.
Grand Old Dwarf says dopamine aioli. Yes. Yes.
That definitely is going to have the garlic in there, too.
Oh, my God.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, Grand Old Dwarf, you truly have a beard that would make a dwarf proud.
Yes. Yeah.
Moly.
Let's look at that one more time.
Oh,
Good,
man.
good work.
That's beauty. That's
Braid
beauty.
That work of art.
I love every time Galaxy Fox says "sawsome," I just giggle so hard.
We need word art of that.
We do.
Evan, another T-shirt idea. So we've got Mutants of Rage merch and Sawsome tees coming out of last night. We feel.
Can we? Because I want to make a Dr. Heelgood's tee. Dr. Heelgood's. It's Sawsome.
It's Sawsome.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a sauciaioli.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That has to be. We'll have to create an aioli brand.
Yes.
Awesome.
That's what's awesome.
Yep.
It's better.
Okay. This is how it begins.
Merch.
Yep.
All right.
More Mutants of Rage merch. More merch. All right, y'all. So we did have a couple of questions that were in our previous live link. We are so sorry. Thank you for following us over here. So we've taken note of those. If y'all have any questions as we're talking, I'm gonna make an executive decision here. I think the way that Coach does it is going to be helpful for us as well. Just type question in all caps and put your question for us. That way, if you really want to ask us something, we'll see it other than just like regular chat, which, we'll usually see, but maybe sometimes we miss some stuff. So anyways, so first up, I think, Evan, you're going to have to address the conspiracy in the room.
The dork.
Yes, there's a conspiracy that, and let me just make sure that I got this right. That there is a connection between the one shot that Seth McKay DM'd for us for the ADHD 20 episode. I don't know, did that even have a title? I don't remember, but in that story there was who turned out to be the villain, sort of.
Spoilers for something that's 8 months old.
Yeah.
Also, we gave a blanket spoiler warning.
I know, I'm just kidding.
We did. That the villain, Old Toby, is connected to this story's Old Toby. And you want to hear the truth?
Yes.
More than anything.
I wished like hell that I had thought of that. Although I think it's actually it's completely possible, because here's what we know about Old Toby the villain, right? Mm-hmm. Old Toby the villain, and his name kind of changed once his identity was revealed, right? There was an original
wheel,
right? Yeah. And maybe we need Seth here to confirm or deny. But what I remember is that there was. Old Toby was a real person, and that this guy usurped Ol Toby and kind of took on his identity.
Meat sacked him, used his flesh. Anyway, I'll stop talking.
We already know that he has the ability to change his appearance, right? And the patience to appear like this person for an extended amount of time, because he had fooled Bud and Herb and the people down at the tavern, like they've been hanging out with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So is it possible? Did I think of it? I had no idea. In fact, it didn't even occur to me that Ol Toby that I was using the same name that had been established already.
Oh, I assumed, Evan, the whole time. I've been over here assuming. Ooh,
no, because it started off as Tobias. In fact, it couldn't have, because we all crowdsourced this character.
That's true. That's
you guys
very true.
helped me name him Tobias. I just landed on Ol Toby because he's is it possible though?
I say never.
I think it's possible. What do you guys think?
Everything is possible.
Yeah. What do you want though, in your hearts?
I think, this is all a multiverse, right? Yeah. So I think that there was a multiverse version where Toby opened a tavern, and what was, the something apple something. I'm sorry, Seth, we're butchering all of the naming conventions you worked. It's called like the Sour Apple or something.
I think Sour Apple.
Yeah, along those lines. And so I think that maybe that was, had Tobias not met his end this way, maybe that's what Tobias would have gone on to do.
Yeah. You never know, man. You never know.
And it is established that Shadows of Embertide, Shadows Cast, is set in the same world where Bud and Herb is set just down the road in their little town of Mistra's Glen. And Bud and Herb were both in this other episode. So there are connections. There are tendrils.
My connection to this was the character I played in that one shot was built based on the very first time I ever played DC20 with Coach at GaryCon.
Okay.
So I played a Psion back in March. The very first time we sat down at a table with him, I named her Snoopy, a tiefling, Psion. And then when we played that one shot in 5e, I liked playing Snoopy, the tiefling Psion, so much I built a Clockwork Soul Sorcerer and gave her the telekinetic feat for telekinetic shove. So that was all influenced by DC20.
Yes.
And then I knew I had to come up with something completely different for this one. So I've carved myself into a Psion box, I fear.
Scion boss.
Wait, I'm sorry. Let me back that up. I've telekinetically shoved myself into a Scion box.
There it is.
Nice. Like that movie Boxing Helena.
Yes. Oh God. Don't remind me. Well, y'all, while we were discussing Toby, some really, really great questions have come in.
Yeah, they have.
Chat.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much for that. Are we going to do Stars of Wishes? Or are we going to dive into questions?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's answer the questions that Seth left us, because he could not join us today. Then we'll do our Stars and Wishes and we'll get some chat questions. How
Wonderful.
does that sound?
Let's do it.
Sounds great, man.
Seth had a question for everybody. So first of all, Seth asked Toby, what is your most prized work of art?
What was Toby's most?
Yes, what was? Sorry, was.
Come on, man.
Let's just go ahead and get the spoilers out of the way. Toby, R.I.P. He didn't make it. What was his most prized work of art?
His taxidermy. What did you?
It's his art.
Yeah, which?
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. That could mean like something he bought or something that he made, or
his favorite work. Yeah.
Oh gosh, man, that is putting me on the spot. What would Toby? You know what? I'm gonna go to the chat here for some help, since everything about Toby has been crowdsourced so far. Let's hear it. Well, I'll put my 2 cents in, but everybody shout it out. What would Toby have been prized the most? I'd say it was probably pretty rare, right? Some kind of rare creature. Oh, no. Here it is. He was experimenting right before his demise. It may not even have been finished, but he was making his own. He'd gone from just taxidermying animals, woodland creatures, and even small monsters, if you came across them, into doing, have you ever seen those? Have you ever seen those there's artists out there who will take like an old painting they find at a thrift store. Mm-hmm. It's like a kind of just a generic, boring landscape, and they'll paint a X-Wing fighter into it or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like that, except with animals. So basically making taxidermied chimeras of monsters and critters and stuff, a head, an arm, and making it as weird as possible. I don't know what it's gonna be. You guys can help me out, but that's my say.
Sounds like some Barovia stuff right there, my friend.
It does. And as the member of the group, I think I'm the only one who doesn't, who is a pescatarian, but I also have a weird fascination with taxidermy specifically. I am immediately thinking of, there is a place in California, it's called Gold Dust Collective. It's like a curiosity shop, and they have some taxidermy that's just incredible. They have like little mini alligator burlesque taxidermy crocodile-y things. But my favorite are, they have an artisan who makes stripper mice.
Yes.
So, like just...
That's the right answer.
Like something like that. Something creative.
Yes. So you made me think, and I think I've got it now. This is also a real thing. I think I've shared it with you guys. Folks out there, if you haven't looked this up for yourself, please do immediately. There are real life taxidermists who make Yeti and Sasquatch faces out of deer, taxidermied deer butts. So I would say, Toby's true self-expression was trying to make various monster faces out of woodland creature butts and buttholes.
Perfect. Perfection.
There it is.
I hope that made everything.
Yep. That's it, folks.
Well, thanks for joining us on the Pocket Dimension, everybody.
We talked about taxidermied butts. So Seth's question for Benny is, what is her proudest use of her mind powers?
I guess I should have done my homework ahead of this, but this is all improv. This is all made up on the spot, right? So Benny, what you guys haven't gotten to know about Benny yet, she's definitely into pranks, right? She's definitely into like trickery and like short sheeting the bed and saran wrapping the toilet and the door and all of that fun stuff. So I think in Benny's like younger ages, she probably was quite proud of just doing little things like shoving the chair when Dad went to go sit down at supper, and done stuff like that. But Benny and Robot worked together in a factory, and ultimately escaped that job together. And I want to think that somewhere in that story, Benny was able to kind of use her mind powers to, what?
Assquatch. Sorry. I needed to not look while you're talking a serious discussion.
But yeah, I think that Benny was able to, in that escape, use to Galaxy's comment, the ghost voice inside of people's head, using her powers to unlock doors and fool guards and basically like trick them, like escape but with style, escape but make it fashion.
I like it. And then his question for me, which I also did not think about, even though I absolutely could have, was, what has been in Robot's treasure trove trash flap, say that 5 times fast, the longest?
Moldy fries.
Yeah. No, they eject the actual trash fairly regularly. Yeah. But they do have a couple of treasure compartments. Obviously, the lizard that Toby gave them is in there. I think maybe the thing that's been in the longest would be whatever's the first thing they collected after gaining sentience, which would have been, she still would have been connected to the factory. She would have known Benny. So, and Benny was doing repairs and stuff. And, Robot missed one too many data wipes, and that's how they gained sentience. So part of me wonders if it's like a bolt or a tool, something maybe that Benny was using to repair Robot, and like gave Robot for their toolkit or something right around the time that she came online. Maybe like just a little bolt that means nothing. If someone were to open up her little compartment and look through, would just like get rid of it. Like, this looks like trash, but it's actually just, you know, a little bolt or something.
Yeah. You got this, Matt. Today is a chaotic Friday.
Okay, bye.
Wow. Matt just has in-house visitors.
Probably somebody like emptying the trash or like saying that they're going to shut off the power or something, you know.
Bring him on, get him on camera. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Get in here.
Get in here.
Everything cool, Maddie?
Yeah, everything's great.
That is so sweet, Robot.
Yeah,
it's very sweet. It's very sweet.
All right, enough sweetness. Let's
get to these questions, y'all. They're so good.
All right. Shall I pin them as we go through them? Is that what I should do?
In our Notion at the bottom, I've been putting them in as they come.
Amazing. Okay, so you guys have already asked so many good questions.
Oh my gosh.
I have to scroll. Okay, so we've already addressed the Toby Conspiracy. Galaxy Fox wants to know if we're going to do a one-shot where everybody plays a barbarian. Fitz and I have actually done that one-shot before, and not only was everybody a barbarian, but everybody was an exceedingly cute barbarian. Yeah. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. We'll happily do again. Y'all tell me where and when, and I'm there.
I will bring out Mushy Mishmash the mushroom any old day.
And I will bring out
some shit.
Oh, mine was a dwarf, dandelion magnavox, and she has all kinds of flowers in her long red beard, and she is obsessed with shiny objects and has really bad vocal fry.
It's so fun. All barbarian group is just like the most incredible fun. Yes,
she really likes Uncut Gems. Okay. All right. So we'll got that one. Okay. So here's a question about the system and our experience with it from our friend Torin. Did the action economy ever devolve into doing the optimal thing in combat every turn?
Awesome question.
That is a great question because I
have an answer.
Oh yeah. Ready. Let's hear from you first. Yeah.
I didn't mean to, but I loved this question because I actually got some notes from Coach about this very thing.
Okay.
And so my answer is yes, it did for me, for the GM. And last night, in fact, our friend Hold Up. Our friend Hold Up. I almost said Hodor. Sorry, Hold Up. Our friend Hodor. Our friend Hold Up was saying, what about the parry? What about this? What about there's some martial movements, mechanics that were not used to its fullest. But one of the things the coach said in episode 1, there was this really exciting moment where all of the PCs had worked together to befall one of the enemy, and the enemy was lying on the ground, and he had 3 action points, and but he was because of all of these effects from the warlord and being prone and so on and so forth, he had a triple disadvantage to hit, and I undid that in the heat of the battle by saying this is this guy's Hail Mary, and I'm going to use all 3 action points to attack. Which undid the disadvantage. I do hear what Coach was saying about that kind of removing the excitement or not giving the players a jam. But more importantly, Torin asked this, right? But more importantly, Torin, I feel like that's probably something that we all need to watch out for, which is in DC20, which is because you can just use all the points to attack, then it really does become like D&D, right? It just becomes like a super powerful D&D that you suddenly have massive advantage on. And I feel like because I was spinning so many plates, and I don't know the monsters very well, I don't know I don't know the action economy too well yet. Because of that, I did default sometimes.
Yeah.
So thank you for that question. That was something to watch out for.
Well, I'm gonna push back a little bit because I have some thoughts, and I think all of this ties together really nicely. That in that moment, though, specifically, Matt, I see what you're saying. Sure, yeah, I could see that as a criticism, but also like to me, the fact that we tied up his action economy so that he had to spend all of his AP to undo disadvantage. That's pretty satisfying too. He only had one option instead of 3 or 4 like he normally would have.
He was prone. He was crawling. Yeah.
Exactly. So there is something to say for like just straight up tying up an enemy's action economy satisfaction wise. As far as like falling back to defaults, I will say that there's a fine line between falling back on a default and having a playbook. And one of the things that in approaching, and I think we'll talk about it when we talk about mechanics and things like that when it comes to learning DC20, which is that the way that I could handle coming into a game like this and having a character that felt fully formed and had tools in their belt and actions and maneuvers and things that I felt confident with was instead of looking at the full alpha as one big smorgasbord, I made a plate. I picked the sandwiches and the charcuterie and whatever. I just picked the tools that I thought felt flavorful for my character. And then I stuck to that playbook because it was simpler, less intimidating. So yes, maybe 2 turns in a row. Like I did a lot of shove actions and shove maneuvers, but that felt very right for the character. And I would say, I mean, we could go back and watch, but I don't think any 2 turns were exactly the same, you know, because maybe they saved on this one, maybe they didn't, maybe I moved, maybe I did an unarmed strike, maybe I hot glued his hands together. So unlike in 5e, where it really can just be like, I mean, we look at Vax from Vox Machina, dagger, dagger, dagger. That's it. Your turn's done. Yeah. Not that that's not exciting to watch, but that feels different in 5e where your action economy is more limited. Yeah. Whereas this, I'm using a playbook, but it's a little bit more versatile.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, that's why I like DC20 so much is because, like, I tried playing a rogue in 5e and had that problem where all I was doing was 2-weapon fighting. Run up, stab, stab. Run up, stab, stab. And that was all I was, like, whereas this one, I think what is really natural about DC20 is you have the things like cantrip passive and your style passive on Marshall. So, like, one of my things that I tried to do in the first part was what I had called dazed and abused, where I used a cantrip first to try and daze the target. And then if they were dazed, I got an additional advantage on the next type of attack that I was going to try and roll on them. It didn't pop off, but it didn't, like, I was kind of worried as Allison that I was going to keep trying that. And I didn't, because on every turn, there were so many different things to do because of what my fellow players were doing. So, like, because, like, Seth was masterful at Commander's Call and kept kind of, like, walking over and handing me additional actions, you know, and, like, I'm over here trying to cast a spell and Evan and Fitz are going, baton it, you know, and things like that to keep me from just, like, unleashing Cybolt, 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 or whatever the case might be. So.
Did you guys experience it all? I don't know. For me, having 4 action points, and, you know, not that we haven't played this before, but, you know, at Gen Con, at Gary Con, so it's not our first rodeo necessarily, but it was the first time that I really felt like having 4 action points, I was really engaged in what I was going to do next. I was both trying to pay attention to what was happening, but really thinking about, okay, well, what am I going to, I had to really strategize. As opposed to, you know, when you're in 5e, you can just kind of zone out. Like, well, I'm a monk, so I'm going to go up there and punch them.
Flurry of blows, yeah.
And that's it. And my bonus actions I can only do this on my bonus action. So you don't have to think about it that much.
Yeah.
Which I suppose for some people, maybe that's better. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this, and particularly when you're playing remotely and you've got your computer open and, you know, you can, if you really want to, you know, disengage, you can check your Facebook or whatever. There was no desire to do that because you're really thinking about what you're going to do. I don't know if it was the same for you guys, but I really appreciated that.
I feel like that's a natural lead into our next question.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Which is from, look, it's Baz. Look, everybody. How do you feel the DC20 enhances play for the neurodivergent versus, say, 5e? If you're not aware, Matt and I have a podcast right here on this very channel. It's called ADHD20. It explores the intersection of D&D, ADHD, and
TTRPGs.
There we go. It's weird to do that out of context.
Yeah.
So to your point, Evan, I think that DC20 does, like, again, it's more about group play. And truly listening to those in-between moments. And DC20 has evolved over the months since we first got to playtest it. And one of the things I know that Coach is working on for later iterations of the alpha are more reactions. Right now, reactions are kind of attacks of opportunity for Marshall, and maybe you can do a spell duel if you're a caster. And I think bards will have some kind of like help reaction. But I think once we get more square reactions for each class, that'll only enhance that. So you truly aren't waiting until your turn comes around to spend your 4 action points, but like, oh my God, in this moment, I see this thing that, Evan's character is trying to do, and I can go ahead and spend 2 of my action points to buff him and his ability to do that.
Yeah.
I'm only excited about getting to that. And I think that helps with the, for those of us whose mind does tend to wander, I think that will only help keep us kind of locked in and engaged.
Yeah, Torin just followed up, which I think this is a great way to highlight the differences between combat in DC20 and 5e, which is that they said that's good to hear because the disengage during combat in 5e was the biggest problem at my table. 5e didn't do me any favors and forced me to try and work against that tendency. 5e is built that way. It's very much like I've optimized my turn. All right, next. And then you're not necessarily paying attention unless you're, say, a spellcaster with counterspell, unless you're a grave cleric who has the natural 20 discounter, stuff like that. Maybe opportunity attacks. You're not really paying attention so much. You're paying attention to what the monster's doing, not what your friends are doing. In DC20, you're paying attention to everything because you can spend action points off of your turn, because the battlefield changes and that's going to change what you're going to do on your action points. It's very neurodivergent friendly in that way, in that every turn is more malleable, every round is more malleable. And I mean, look at the way Seth played Warlord so many times. On his turn, he would do, I think it was Commander's Call, please correct me if I'm wrong, where he would give a friend either a help die, or he had another feature where, we could take a reaction for free. Yeah. So you had to pay attention to what Seth was doing, because he may just call on you. Right? And you have to be thinking about, what do I want to do?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a quick GM input on that. As the Neurodiverge GM. Neurodivergence. Sorry.
You're workshopping it. It's okay.
I'm working on it. And my friend Sarah says, and when you're neurodiverse, you are paying attention to everything. As a GM, especially once I set up the VTT, that did a little bit of automation for me. And there's a great team right now in the DC20 Discord, by the way. A couple of dudes, forgive me, I don't have their handles on me right now. They are taking kind of what I started working on, not my stuff necessarily, but something extremely similar, and building that out. But as long as I had some of that, there is a freedom for sure in DC20 that I do not have in Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons, as for a GM, it being... See, this is controversial to say it's crunchier, because I don't know whether that's true. I don't know that DC20 is necessarily less crunchy, but there is that focus. I think there's always been the focus in Alan's mind to make the transition from role play and that kind of world into combat. Using both the combat system and this concept of the challenges that are skill-based and combat-based, right? Yeah. Now, I was definitely sidelined. No, that's not the right. Why do I ever bother trying to come up with a sports reference? Damn it!
For the record, I love that you keep trying. It is endearing and adorable AF.
So, you know what? Here's the thing, brother. You just gotta start picking more obscure sports.
Yeah, let's talk about squash.
Let's talk about squash, baby.
Exactly.
Croquet.
Crickets.
The word is
use those terms.
I was sucker punched, but in the best possible way by Robot attacking the mutants of rage.
Loki.
Sorry. Oh, and that, and that. To be honest, but that's what you're supposed to do. I think that DC20 is being built with that kind of concept in mind to be able to give you some more tools that allow that more free flow vibe.
Yep.
And for this brain, that's helpful.
That's helpful.
Yep.
All right. super quick answer for Galaxy Fox says, which was better to play mechanically, the DC version or the 5e version? I'm assuming this is the Psion versus the Clockwork Soul Sorcerer that I had mentioned earlier. Apples to oranges there, only because I think we played something like level 5 or 6 for the, so I would love to give me a few months, give Coach a few months to get later iterations of the alpha out so we can take Psion into at least level 3, start subclassing. I have a feeling DC20 is going to win this. But I mean, I also had a lot of fun playing Snoopy and want to play her some more. I love sorcerers. That's my go-to class in 5e. So I can't wait to play one in DC20 either. So, all right. Another question from Galaxy Fox. How did y'all feel playing your characters? And will you do more DC20 actual play? Maybe a small campaign?
Yeah.
Did Matt just go, nah?
Nah. Well, also, I know we've gotten some new folks in since we did this, but big spoiler alert for part 2. Okay, guys, if you haven't seen part 2, we're not holding back with spoilers. Just FYI.
I think Coach is here.
Coach.
Coach, welcome.
Cover your ears.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Now I'm going to scroll down. Okay. So Dreamweaver has a great one that we encountered last night. So this is a spoiler.
Although we didn't answer Galaxy's question.
We didn't
answer
that question.
Sorry.
It's okay.
ADHD kicked in.
Yes,
it's
absolutely,
okay.
yes. Yes, we've already talked about it. We're, I did not, I was supposed to write it as a one-shot. I did not write it as a one-shot. I'm already invested in the characters and the world and the city and the plot. So, hell yes. Hell yes, we're going to keep playing. The thought is, I'll say real quick, the thought is with, I would like every bigger release of the alpha and up to the 1 and beyond, beta and beyond. I would love to do what we just did, another one shot in this world. So then it becomes a campaign. Thank you. Goodbye.
I mean, what is a campaign but just a series of one shots?
It is.
Yeah.
There it is.
That's all we have to commit to is another one shot.
I want to hear from Evan
DC20
on this, though. How did you feel about playing your character? How did you feel about your character? And what might be next for Evan? Because we're not just leaving you behind as a player, right?
You are, actually.
No. That's how this works.
I'll say this. I really... It was really fun, kind of soup to nuts. We did a lot of streams about building these characters, what it took to build a DC20 character, all of the advantages that you have in character building with DC20 to get it just how you want it. Now, that was a little bit different for me because you guys really helped decide what Toby was going to be like. I think Coach was the one who said intelligence ranger. Okay, great. So I didn't necessarily make a lot of those choices. We all made them together, and I just tried to interpret them in the weirdest way that I possibly could.
And you did great.
Did good.
And have fun with it. And it was, I think, the part that if Toby were able to go on, being sensitive for spoilers, if Toby had the opportunity to go on, the one thing that I would like to display a little bit more of would be that he sounded like, my idea was that he was really smart, but he didn't sound very smart. Yeah. And that we'd see a little bit more of that and why he's that way and stuff. So,
you have ideas.
I do, but therein, I guess what I was trying to get at was the core of DC20 is that you can be as contrarians, not the right word, but you can make it as weird and disparate as you want, whatever fits the thing that you do. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to try to go for in my own little small way with Toby. So it was really fun.
Yeah.
I'm also the kind of person who just jumps in. I don't figure stuff out a lot in advance. I'm just like, okay, I'll do it on the day. Yeah. And there was a lot of that going on too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. I would say sorry.
No, I was just going to say, speaking of that, I think we're going to find when we do port these to 5e, just for the shiggles of it in a few weeks, that they are going to be vastly more boring.
Sick.
Yeah. They're just not going to have as much fun stuff. Yeah.
Tune in for our boring encounter one shot, everybody.
Watch us be sad that we don't have the fun stuff we had with DC20 level 1.
Come to the saddest actual play you'll ever see from us. We're gonna pout the whole way. Like we'd be cooler in DC20.
Yes. Sorry, Matt. I cut you off though. What were you gonna say?
No, I just once again it sounded like Evan was gearing us up for the next question that Allison started to ask before about whether or not we handled the whole death mechanic well. Which we did not necessarily.
We didn't say well.
We cut
it correctly.
Yeah, the keyword being correctly in there.
I think Hodop gave us like straight A's, A++. I think I saw that was brilliant from Hodop. Who Hodop and Fitz are our, officially unofficial rules lawyers here.
What I'm gonna say here is that
say it.
We didn't technically break the rules. We just may have tinkered. Well, not tinkered. We just skirted the edges because nothing said we couldn't. Seth couldn't. So, I mean, you technically had one action point. You weren't unconscious at the time.
Well, I was healed. That was the whole part of that 1-2 punches because he got his stamina point back. I was healed for a point, which officially brings me back from. But it all because my turn was before Seth, so my turn went. I had my one death store, one action point that I did. Seth then came next, took his turn. Healed me and gave me the reaction through Commander's Call. I took that reaction, and then it wasn't until we came back around that I was back up officially. So I don't think there's any skirting. I'll go on the record and say
All right, I think we did. I think Seth handled it by the books, and maybe we.
Common law.
That was as a player, I will say that was a tremendously fun moment for me, both to get to smack the hell out of something with a baton, but then also like watching Seth play. I think we've all agreed was some of our favorite moments.
For sure.
Yep. It felt right. Yeah. Coach says he can't wait to see this interaction. Yeah. We look forward to your grade.
There's gonna be some great.
We're gonna get a video later. I can feel it coming. Lay it on us. I love it. All right, sorry, I have to scroll back to where I was. There's so many good questions in here.
Oh no! Can people not hear me?
Yeah. Did? Oh no!
Weird.
Why?
No. It ain't so.
We'll work. Okay. You can see us now. Okay, good. Thanks. Thanks, everybody. We're having issues with our live streamer of choice, which has not had one issue. I'll say that again. We've had issues with our live streamer of choice, which we have not had any problems with up till today, and we're having some weird issues. But let me keep answering questions.
TTP, one for you.
What is your favorite aspect of DMing this story? The story. Oh man. Well, I have to admit that one of my favorite aspects of GMing this story is that it is a world that the four of us have created together. We started playing it. The world itself is called Sigea. We started on a continent that, last year. No.
Yeah, no,
last year.
It was Castle birthday that we started.
I had it was the first thing I've ever tried to build this environment for players, and I built one continent. It has its own vibe, its feel, its thing, and then Evan and Fitz are working on the world of Bud and Herb, based on 2 characters that we were playing with and we fell in love with, and I know that you will too, because this podcast, what I've heard of it, is phenom. So you'll get to learn about the Verdant Valley and that part of Sigea, and the 2 of y'all gave the name Tathesia, and
easy for you to say.
It really is. And so it's just so fun to have something maybe in between those 2 continents, as far as like what the magic is, what powers, what is magic, what is the source of the magic, which I feel has been super fun. All of it. So the answer is all of it, really. That it's ours. It feels so good, and I love Barovia. I love Eberron. I love the world of Drizzt. But man, when you get to have your own jam, all these things that would cook in your head, is so fun.
Yeah. And as a player, it's fun to to start in Tataria, which is a low magic environment, and really we really only played in one little town or one part of a town, one district almost. So it's our sense and scope of it is pretty small, but knowing what else is out there, and then transporting over to working with Fitz on a much more high magic and Talos and this region. There's trains, so there's every little bit of it has its own flavor and its own sense of possibility, which is fun and exciting. Makes you want to keep going back as a player, and I imagine as a GM too. It's also fun. It's like Fitz and I kind of working on the lore for Bud and Herb, and discussions of trains and stuff, not even in our minds, and then to go to this world and it's there, and all of a sudden, oh wait a minute, here's just another way that we're telling a story collaboratively. Like, oh yeah, this is just up the road from where we are. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Following up the GM question with this one from Galaxy Fox, will any of the players go into the GM chair?
I hope so.
Not it.
My answer, surprise, Evan, one day. Then the problem is that like once you start GMing, you're not ever going to want to stop. I'm going to laugh so hard when you.
No, I do want to do it. I do want to.
My answer is emphatically yes. We've discovered that I am not a good campaign GM, but I am a fun one-shot GM. So I'd tackle a one-shot.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle. I've DM'd. We're kind of we've been on pause for a hot minute, but my sort of little group of family that's my brother, sister-in-law, hey guys, what's up, girl, my best friend and 2 of my cousins, we all play, and I've been DMing that. I mean, we started also in the pandemic, just as a way to sort of stay connected, and I found with that I am happy to run, because I've been doing a home brew on that, and that's a lot of work. I am happy to do mini arcs that are pre-written adventures. That's where I've found my hey girl, what's up? That's where I've she's that's where I found my sweet spot. I did see somebody, it might have been Tabletop, asked if I would DM a DC20 Star Wars, and it's tough because I would, but I kind of want to play it more. I want to play a gray Jedi. Not a Jedi, a gray, because they're not Jedi, they're gray. But, I want to play an in-between
that came up in our Discord where there's been talk about doing a Disney-themed one-shot. I will absolutely not GM that because I will be playing in that. So,
well, who's going to GM it then?
Actually, Seth volunteered to distribute.
Because I don't know bleep about it.
I would do a 1-for-1. I tell you what, I would DM a Star Wars mini arc if someone would then DM me a Star Wars mini arc.
That's only fair.
Round table.
Tit for tat.
Tit for tat.
Tabletop Phoenix asks, the Pocket Dimension, any thoughts on future special guests? The Dungeon Coach? I have already issued that call. I have said that we will happily be the first group, and I will step into the DM's chair for that, to DM for DC as a player. Challenge accepted, invitation extended.
That's a good one.
Get on in here.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I think, Alan, you're a Star Wars nerd too. Maybe we do a DC20 Star Wars crossover.
Ooh. What?
That one I would like to see. I would like to see that.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
Let's get after it.
Let's take a cold shower now.
And
ew.
Gross.
And other guests too. Yeah, like we have this. I'm just going to go ahead and let the top off. We have a vision where people watching this right now eventually will get to come on and be part of our one shots and live streams if they want to. We're not going to force anybody to do that, but if that sounds cool to you, it sounds cool to us. We've already gotten to play with you, Tabletop Phoenix, who said also in a comment earlier that you love that you've gotten to be a part of this world because we now do set our monthly one shots in Sigea. So yeah, if you play with us, you get to play in this world, and let's keep it going.
I see you, Coach, because Darth Maul has the best lightsaber, the double-bladed, all the way.
Double-bladed.
That's the.
Double-bladed.
We're gonna talk because I just love double-bladed lightsabers. Okay. Anyways, we're moving on. I'm not gonna get sidetracked.
Galaxy Fox wants to be the Disney villain. I like that we have these two emerging camps of the Disney and the Star Wars, and there is some overlap. I too would want to. Be in both, but
Disney versus Star Wars.
Disney versus Star Wars. Oh my god! Well, I've long wondered if like one of the things that we could do to lower the DC on these one shots, because they are a lot of work, a labor of love, but is just do more PvP stuff where like the DM has to do very little storytelling. I would be down to clown for that one shot of just DMing the princesses. Let's do it.
But yes, our friend Seth is a phenomenal GM. Our friend Tay, who is very busy right now with a new house and a baby on the way, he is also a professional dungeon master. I can't wait for you guys to see that in action, him in action. And then, like, I am not the only forever GM in the Discord. I want y'all out there. I want to talk to y'all about that too. So the world is open to everyone.
And yes, Star Wars is Disney, so Leia is now a princess, and I'm kind of not mad about that. Well, I'm kind of mad about some things with Disney, but hey, Dave Filoni's now in the driver's seat, so I'm happy about that. And I mean, bouncing off of all this, y'all, Nightbot reminded me that if you're a patron, we do have patron one-shots. So we actually do play together once a month with patrons. And so no, it is not necessarily live streamed, but you get to play with us and we have fun. Last month, we did a Turducken Titan adventure. I think, Matt, you're doing a Krampus adventure for December. So we do fun stuff.
I will be playing Kevin McAllister from Home Alone.
Yes.
As a Rune Knight, and I cannot wait to play in that one. Galaxy Fox asking the hard-hitting questions here. What was your favorite thing about DC20, and what would you change?
Oh boy. Spice factor.
I've already said mine, but I'll kind of and Coach knows this is and I know it's coming, so it's a patience game. But I do want to see more. If we don't get attacks of opportunities as casters, I'm very interested in seeing what kind of reactions. Again, just to speed up that combat, so you're not just waiting to spend your 4 action points on your turn if you don't have a true reaction. Yes, I know I get spell duels. That is one miss that I had from part 2. Is that Matt had put a player in to give me someone to spell duel, and just due to where we all wound up on the battle mat at the end, it just didn't work out, and I hate that I didn't get to do a spell duel for you guys, but leaving the door open for future ones, right? So I would love it if, especially like as a Scion, my vision is that I would be able to use my mind to, cause both a weapon or a spell attack to not pop off as a reaction, to kind of put my magic in front of it, and I think other casters could do the same. But so that's what I would change, and I know it's coming. My favorite part is just, and we've said this a million times, you can literally play the character you want to play. And what Benny turned out to be was wholly different than my original vision of her, because these who's you see on the screen with me kind of helped shape her story too. I'm talking about you guys, Evan. But it's fun that you don't have to be like, I have to be this thing. And if I want to be that thing, you can just say like, yes, I want to be a Scion who is really mischievous and tricky. And I don't have to, play the whole like, I read books all the time if I don't want to. So I think that's fun as hell.
Anybody else?
Yeah. I think I've already said it. Action points, action points, action points. I mean, being in the game as as engaged as I was in a way that I just had the tendency to tune out in 5e. That's when you know you're playing something very different.
Yeah.
It's not just a different flavor of fantasy TTRPG game. It's not just a different flavor of 5e. It is something else. That's my number one favorite thing. It just is so unique, and in some ways, it's kind of a simple thing. It's kind of a duh moment, like, oh yeah, that's just the way it should be. But there it is. Here we are. Things. I don't know if it's something I would change, but this is kind of, we do our stars and wishes. This is one of my wishes more than a thing that I would change. But I would like to, and this is really more of a player thing than a game thing, but I'll throw it out there anyway. When it comes to the mechanic of like non-magical healing, like in the Warlords, like his commanding presence or whatever it is that would kind of boost, especially in the case of lifting Benny out of of death's door. I want to hear a little bit more from the players how, like, I almost wanted to go to, like, the way they describe it is going to hinge on this mechanic working. You've got to convince the DM, the GM, with your words, like how, okay, you're at death's door. This is non-magical healing moment. What is happening that would really make this save this person's life or heal them physically? And I guess I'm just kind of riding on the idea of like what DC20 does really well is blur those lines between mechanics and storytelling and push them into each other.
Great framing.
So I would want to. I found myself wanting to hear that more in game, and that's my that's it. I'll see myself out.
No, that's incredible. I'll pretty much just double what you're saying. There's a lot of little things as a.
Sorry.
Is Toby back?
Is Toby back? There's a lot of little things. There's a lot of little things that I really appreciate, and I think that if you watch the two videos, you'll see me kind of react, out of excitement, and I think that the damage system itself took a little bit to get used to in my brain. The fact that you're not rolling damage, but after playing it with Coach and playing it as a GM, I've definitely understood it. I still need to work myself on some of the math. I need personally to know what costs action points, what costs this, and what that's a little tricky for me. Again, because I feel like I'm juggling so much, automation is really helpful for me and my brain. But the little things like that devastating attack that hit, that is magical, and it's so exciting, and you can see the excitement on our faces, and you can see those little cool things. Also, even though we kind of stumbled into it and it was a little messy, but the combat skill challenge was so freeing as a GM. It was so freeing because I was not prepared for the combat, but getting into it, I was like, I don't want to have them fight these four in a typical way because the last battle took a long ass time.
Yeah.
And this combat skill challenge does away with that completely, which is so
great.
Freaking great.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Thanks for answering that next question. Dreamweaver popped in for us.
So when your chaotic player does something stupid, you don't have to derail for 4 sessions.
My favorite part of all of this was Matt's surprise that we were doing any of the things that we always do.
Yes.
You had to know we were going to try and fight the raccoons.
I love it when you do. But it is so much nicer to be able to, once I get my brain wrapped around everything so, far more succinctly, then yes. Guys, you do this thing. I think this is going to be a combat skill challenge instead of like a full on roll initiative thing. So
yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my favorite thing is my favorite thing and the thing. Wait, what was exactly the question? It was like, what would I change? What was my favorite?
What was your favorite? What would you change?
Is there anything you change?
Well, the change part is a loaded question, considering I've given active feedback and reviewed a lot of stuff. So I have made changes to a lot of things, or I've suggested them, whether they've happened or not. And that's totally fine. I think my favorite thing is what I've said, since March, which is just the malleability of building a character, because I'm a character builder obsessed player. And that, at level 1, you have a fully formed character. And to be fair, I think it makes having a backstory of any level, whether it's just a couple bullet points or fully fleshed out, easier because you have a more fully formed idea of what your character is going to be like at level 1. What I would change, I'm going to take this question and I'm going to change it up a little bit. Rather than what I would change, I would say...
Build a game mechanic on the spot. This is all you. Take it away.
Sure, why not? No.
We did.
I actually was going to say what I would maybe find surprising based on what... Because, when you're reviewing something, you're looking at it in a vacuum, not at the table. So what I reviewed based on what was on the page versus what actually happened... Obviously, there were things that were surprising to me that when I had read through it, I was like, oh, yeah, that totally makes sense. Love that. And then went to play it, and I was like, what am I doing? This is weird. Maybe not to that extreme, but I was surprised by some things. And I think the one thing that I was surprised by was how bad at simple math I am.
There were a lot of fingers going last night.
There's a lot of fingers. So I would say one of two things. Either making a la Ashley Johnson with Yasha, having some sort of flow chart, like a if-then that I could calculate out damage, or space movement because I was shoving a lot of people. Something like that could make the simple math simple for a dum-dum like me. Because when I read it on the page, I was like, oh yeah, this totally makes sense. You're gonna add it up. It's gonna be super quick. So I was surprised when I struggled with it a little bit. But I think it's because in the moment you're excited, you're flustered, you just want to move forward. Yes. And so sitting down to logically go, okay, I did this and this and this. To me, I tripped over that. So either having some sort of flow chart or having a variant rule, because I know Coach has done the reverse it, but having it so that you can roll for damage. Because even though I think for some tables that may take longer in the way that he has it now, where damage is just, you got a base of 2. If it was a heavy hit, you add 1. Maybe that's faster for some people. For me, in actuality, I thought it would be. Maybe it wasn't. So being able to just see I roll 1d4 and I add a number, that to me might actually be quicker. So if there's some sort of variant roll rule, I'd love to see that at some point. Maybe that'll be a supplement later or something. I don't know.
We would rather use dice than fingers, is all we're saying.
And immediate follow-up, Alan just asked, what do I mean by flow chart? I mean, so a flow progression would be, say, so I had shove maneuver. We'll use that because I used it a lot. Or maybe not, just the shove, right? Which would be... base moves 1 space. If bull stance, add 1 space. By 5, blah, 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 blah. And just have it so that I checked all the boxes and it added it for me. Because when I started doing it by fingers, I'm excited. Things are getting chaotic. If I had it just written out and this is not something that I think the game would need to supply. This is something that I would build for myself, whether it's damage or, some mechanic that I use over and over. But yeah, what I was surprised by was my inability to do simple math.
By the way, our Paladin has said no self-deprecating self-talk.
Yeah.
Great. I am great at knocking people over and stealing trash.
Yes, you are.
Good work.
And wasting fries. I
didn't waste them. I gave them to Toby.
There were some flying fries at various points.
Well, again, I'm going to point to the specific VTT channel in DC20 Discord because there is a community. They're focused on Foundry right now. I really love Encounter Plus, but I think a lot of those things can be built in there too. Yeah. The things that you're talking about. And I do think a flow chart kind of vibe can apply to a lot of these characters because there's so many options, and especially as reactions kind of evolve and grow and change and are even a bigger part. Yeah. I could absolutely see a very cool, beautifully designed, like, here's your skill, here's the skill or maneuver name, and then just boxes that go beep, 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 beep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this is something we could work on. It would be fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it just goes along with what I was saying earlier. Like, if I'm going to give any group, any person who's going to give DC20 a try for the first time, before it's a system that's really in our brains and in our hands and on our computers or whatever, the same way that, say, 5e is sort of ingrained in us, is that while we're learning DC20 together, my biggest top tip, my biggest takeaway for folks who are coming to it fresh, especially if you're not someone who can memorize and like hold on to rules, is create yourself a little playbook. That's what I did. It was really helpful for me. I know it meant that I wasn't playing optimally. I know there were actions and maneuvers that I missed out on using that could have been helpful. But in the grand scheme of things, it made it so that the game was more accessible for me. I felt more confident. I felt like I knew my character because I had gone through the alpha and picked out things that felt right. Yep. So that's my tip for any noobs. And then as you get used to those, start adding more things. Yeah. And I think that actually works for any game, but especially in DC20, because you have so many options.
Yeah. The amazing Matthew Colville had a video yesterday where he talked about the history of TSR into Wizards, into this, and why D&D 5e especially is so popular, and everybody knows it's two things. It's Critical Role and it's Stranger Things. Stranger Things brought people back to the game, and Critical Role immediately taught them how to play, which is something we forget about, right? Like, yes, you may have read all of the rules of the Player's Handbook and whatever the other books are, so many of them, Dungeon Master's Guide and so on and so forth. But reading something, watching other people learn how to play it, and kind of having that combination is so important that, of course, we're starting to get now with our videos and the coaches' videos, and hopefully a lot more that you'll be able to get it. But every new game is like this. So we're not knocking on the game so much as
no,
not at all. But just like what could make it on board easier, right?
Yeah. And it's all about, we're beginner level knowledge wise with DC20. It's not part of our collective conscious yet. I am confident it will be. So until, it's just one of those things. You gain a chunk of information, put it in your system. Once you're confident with that, you start adding more.
And that's Coach has actually asked that, trying to find where the confusion was about, trying to see how base 3 too heavy, one, like adding these various components, how that is more or less complicated than if I know that I have my dagger and it's 1d4 plus 1 damage. Like,
I don't know that it is.
It's not. It's not more complicated. Yeah. It's just we're used to one, and also it's a when I see like daggers 1d4 plus 1 or whatever, I see an instruction of 1d4 plus 1. It's done. Yeah. When it comes to the sort of the formula of how to calculate damage in DC20, it's a little bit more of a conversation. So there's just more pitfalls for me in that of like holding on to remembering, base of 2, and then I added this, and then once I have 5 fingers, I'm like, I immediately doubt myself. I have to start over.
Well, so and that's
it.
Yours also, to add complexity to it, was there's the base damage, and then you were also having to make decisions of, did you want to shove them further away versus did they hit an object, so calculating that damage. Are we going to use one of those spaces to be prone? I ran into that myself.
Involved.
Yeah. And that was exactly where it got complicated. Was we were trying to figure out what to do with the critical hit. We were trying to figure out how many spaces till you hit the wall. Use a space for prone, and we just added a lot of flavor. We're a flavorful bunch.
Which, not to say that doesn't happen in Dungeons and Dragons either. Where it's like, oh, I've crit on a fireball and half of the people saved, which means this one has a resistance and whatever. So like you still end up having those conversations. It's just what are you more used to right now? And at some point, it will be just as used to DC20
muscle memory
as 5e. Yeah, muscle memory.
And the people, they're all. Let's say let's manifest this for sure. There will be a time where this will be their first game. Their first role-playing game. So they won't have this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So they won't have the muscle memory. They're in my graded notes from Coach. He pointed out something that is built in that makes a GM's life easier. That there are. I'm not supposed to ask for a save. I ask for the save of an attack from a combatant at the same time that I'm rolling, and I can roll 2 dice if there's a contest and all this stuff. But muscle memory doesn't allow me to do that right out of the gate. I have to relearn that. It's so foreign to me. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be better or that it isn't better already. That I have to give it a shot. So I am confident that we're going to get all of it under our skins.
Well, we've gone quite long, but that's okay because of our technical difficulties. But should we close out with what we like to close our own sessions out, which are our hearts and stars for this experience? So for those of you who don't, we tend to open our games with a D100 table of questions about our character to help us kind of get in character. And we tend to close with a heart, something that happened, maybe a praise for another character, the GM, or a situation. And a star is kind of your wish for what you hope happens next. Mm-hmm. Who would like to start?
Roll for initiative.
I was going to say, I got
my dice. I'll use Google.
1, 2, 3, 3. I see fits as 3.
Okay.
Oh, we're not rolling our own dice?
I rolled. Oh, sorry. Yeah, rolled your own dice. Sorry. Oh,
18.
I got a 16.
I got a 17.
Well, there you go.
Oh, my gosh. And I got a 10.
Oh. We miss you in our little club. We've lost Evan again. Bye.
Bye.
Well, high roller Bivens.
Yeah, go.
High roller Biv. Which Bivens?
You. Younger Biv.
Stars and wishes. Stars 100% go out to Dr. Seth McKay for just coming in and crushing it a little bit behind the scenes. Before we did this actual play, we'd never done an actual play ever. So we were nervous going into that. We did, and of course, DC20 we were completely new to. Really only Fitz had the most knowledge and shared what she knew with us, as generously as she could. And we all had our own notes, and it was just crazy. So we did some battle practicing. You guys, if you tuned in, you saw us messing stuff up. So we were pretty nervous, and Seth was really not able to be there for almost any of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and because he's a busy guy, it's just life.
Yeah.
And
just tossed him in.
He showed up on the day, and we were all not really saying it, but we're like, "Oh my God, what's going to happen?" And
I never doubted you, Seth.
Crushed it so hard. He knew everything about his character. He knew everything about his character. His class mechanics. It was like he'd been playing it for years. That if it hadn't even existed for years, he was just so good and just funny and fun and in total MVP vote for me all the way. That's my star. Wishes, I already kind of spilled the beans on that. I would love to see a little bit more descriptiveness around some non-magical healing. That would be fun. What are some other wishes? I guess the other wish would be to continue this experience, which is maybe not that much of an ask since maybe those gears are already turning. But just given that the connective tissue between this and the Bud and Herb world and all of that stuff, I'm just curious to see I want to see the intersection of this, where it goes.
Yep. Goodbye. And Evan signs off.
Yes.
Right. And he's gone.
See you later. Bye. With my 17, everybody here already knows that I'm very obsessed with Fitz and Evan and Matt. I tell you all that all the time, right? And so obvious defaults hearts to all of you, but I also want to give some hearts to the community, both our Pocket Pals, Pocket Protectors, and the DC20 community for just kind of like wrapping us up in this fun little experiment, providing guidance, help, actions, and just being excited. Seeing your excitement only made it that much more real and only made, this have that much more stakes for all of us. So we really, really had fun because of everybody staring through their little screens with us. So thank y'all. You're all my hearts, and y'all and Seth as well. And then, I think our stars are going to be very repetitively redundant. I can't wait. I started chanting level 2 at the end of the one shot. I meant it. I am always the gremlin asking when Matt, when we're going to level up, always. So I'm ready to see what level 2 holds, ready to see what Evan comes back with, ready for Tobocop. Let's go.
Oh boy. I'm going to cheat a little bit because I think for my hearts, it really comes down to just the full experience of it. Like, I know, AK, you were the one leading the charge saying that people will care about our characters. And I was like, yeah, no, they're not. They're not going to give a shit. But the fact that, like, people, and I partially trusted you, but I just didn't fully believe it. I trusted you, but I did not internalize it. I didn't believe it that like people would care about our characters as much as we cared about it.
That's the sickest burn I've ever heard. I'm trying to be complimentary, and it's coming out all wrong. I'm trying to say that AK knew, and I was a dumbass.
I was tuned in with my third eye. Okay,
you were.
That's all.
I'm trying to lift you up and say, yes, you saw the vision, and I believed in you. I did not believe in myself. That people actually cared about our characters as much as we did, and there was something so fun about getting to not just play the game, play the system, which I think I was so concentrated on. I was just concentrated on building the character sheet, playing the mechanics, and getting it out, and just like seeing what happened. And I wasn't really thinking about just the investment in it emotionally. And so it was fun to feel as connected to Ro as other people did, and as much as you guys did, and to feel brokenhearted about Toby, but also secretly wanting to take his arms.
That spin maneuver is going to be so sick with Toby's arms.
Sorry, canon.
Which leads me into my wishes, which is I'm torn because on the one hand, I want to build Tobocop. I want to see that. I want to do the whirlwind with his taxidermied arms. I want so many things for this group. I want to see Chad again. I want to see Benny again. I want to play my little potty mouth trash can again. But part of me is also excited about what I know is coming down the pipeline. Mm-hmm. Like for a long time, Coach was saying Druid's going to be like the last class, and boom, flipped it. And now it's coming out quick. And I am like, I don't know. I might have to.
Love you a Druid.
I love me a Druid.
Love a Druid.
So I don't know. I'm torn of whether, I guess it could be a yes and. Level 2 with these guys, level 1 with some of the new classes that come out.
Multi-class.
Porque no los dos was what. Yeah, we can have our cake and eat it too here, you guys. We can play more with these guys, and we can play more with other guys.
I'll tell you what. I'll play a seagull. I'll play Gull, the druid, who is in a turtle struggle with Robit, and then that way, whenever we just change different games, I'll bring one in and then the other.
Eternal or a turtle?
I heard
Eternal
struggle. Too.
It's in a turtle struggle, you know. They just can't.
A turtle, yes.
Can't see shell to shell.
Good struggling turtle.
Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, I will say that, I'll say real quick, Evan and I were in a rock band for a major part of our career. And this rock band started in the 90s while the internet was growing. And one of the most magical things in my life was to be on the early internet and to get to know people that became everything to me, everything, best friends, wives, co-workers, partners of all types, friends over and over again. And the rock band is no more, but I said last night to my wife as we were sitting there, I said, I haven't gotten this feeling of spending time with amazing people since that time. It's like it was my one goal for this year, and I feel like in December we're so there, and I appreciate all of y'all so much. It's really you're so interesting and smart and fun to be and funny, and just so I just want that more and more and more. I as my wish, I would like to say that I personally also need to give kudos to Allison, because I also trust her but didn't believe her. And now I really, really want to be a better GM in every way that I can. I want to be a better storyteller. I mean, this is where we are now, and we want full steam ahead. Yeah. So if you guys are liking this one shot actual play, we will do more, because I loved it, and I want it to keep. We need to exactly. Galaxy Vox, we just need to believe AK.
We just need to believe AK.
We trust, but we just need to believe.
When she says it the first time, not a year later.
Yeah, exactly. I also want to get to 500 subscribers to this channel, because that does actually change things for us on some levels. And so that would be that's a very big wish. That would be an amazing thing. So we're very close. If you know anybody that's just like, I don't care, I'll just hit the subscribe button, I don't care who it is, please just send them our link and just say, go for it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hodop, who yesterday said our subscriber count is criminally low.
I felt that in my core.
That in my heart.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all for trusting me, even when you don't believe me. That's our takeaway here.
No, we inspire each other, and I love in the same way that the rock like brings like, right? Like bring coach brings like, we bring like, y'all bring like, in all of your endeavors, everything that y'all do. We're just, we're vibing, and that's what community is all about. It's really great.
Yeah.
And AK, all we're really saying is you're a visionary.
Yeah.
In our little group, you just have the ability to see things further out, whether or not we are ready to take them on yet. Mm-hmm. But it's great to know that you're seeing them in advance. So I'm going to put you on the spot. What's next a year from now? What are we going to be doing?
Listen, I mean, do you want me to answer that? Because I'll go ahead and
let's go.
I think where DC20 has really hit a sweet spot for us is just showing us all the limitless possibilities that tabletop role-playing games can give us. Mm-hmm. We've got Matt and Evan here who have been playing since they were much younger. My first game was in 2020. I openly was mean about tabletop role-playing games prior to that, and I'm really, really sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going to come clean, you guys. I'm sorry. I am sorry for being some kind of trash panda. So I love that DC20 has kind of become our first and our little darling, and I never want to get too far away from it, right? Because to everything y'all just said, there's really good synergy here. But I would love to get to a point where we get to do more actual plays. We get to play with more people. I see a lot of that happening. Yeah. And also get to try different systems, get to, give our hot takes. We do have a video floating out there where we gave our hot take to Tales of the Valiant, and the internet may or may not agree with us, but I want more of those.
Disagree with us.
Yeah. And punched us in the face.
No, now we have to play it. And
well,
just
now
be like,
we have
see?
to play it. Yeah,
we were right.
We have to play it to determine, was our hot take correct, or did we just have a bad DM and a bad 3-hour experience?
Possible.
Yeah.
And so that is kind of the direction, but that isn't just from me. Like, you guys have said that as much as I have, so I'm not trying to steal anybody's thunder. But I think we're onto something of just like continuing to play with friends, try new things, protect the things that we already know that we love. And that's, a year from now, I see us begging you guys help us hit 50,000 subscribers instead of 500.
Now.
So let's go.
Well, I'll tell folks how they can make that happen.
Oh yeah, do it
for us. You can join our Patreon. It's cheap. You can, in fact, I'm going to do the thing. Look at this. Patreon. You can join our Patreon. It's cheap. You can join our Discord and chitter chat with us. It's free.
It's free.
You could, in fact, show your nerdum, show your love for Evan's lovely designs with our nerd shirts.
I need to make more of those. I just need more time.
Yeah.
You took the monk one down. I was going to get it to wear for the...
I could do better. I appreciate that, but it's not.
By the way, Tabletop Phoenix has been pushing us. So right now our highest tier is $10 whole a month. We have a $2, a $5, and a $10. Tabletop Phoenix has come out with an idea that we have a Pantheon. And that will be our and I am here. If you guys want to build a Pantheon with us, let's go.
Let's go.
So we've got what are they? The Primordials, the Elemental Chaos, and the Archfey. So we've got to have a tier above the Archfey, and it shall be our Pantheon.
Speaking of let's go, shout out to Alan, the dungeon coach, for providing the system with which we got to play for our actual play, and for just being a cool dude who's really accessible in his community. He's been very supportive of us and just available when we needed him. And, that is unheard of when it comes to any other game. He is putting his heart and soul into DC20, and you can feel it. We can feel it, and we appreciate him. Also, huge shout out to Seth for joining us. He was for sure the MVP as Chad, our warlord. Also, big shout out to my sister-in-law, Cozy Cassie, for the character art. It was just so adorable and amazing. And lastly, shout out to Mortal Bane for providing the monsters that
killed Toby.
Yeah, that killed Toby.
It's your fault.
And provided us an amazing... some amazing foils for our game. And then lastly, thank you so much to everybody who joined for part 1, for part 2, and for those who hung in with our technical difficulties as we started today.
We're going to go yell at Evmux now.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to write them a very strongly worded email. But I put on my Karen hat. No, I'm not.
A letter is forthcoming.
No, I'm not.
That's forthcoming.
Thanks everybody for a longer live. We will see. I won't see you next week. I'll be in DC enjoying some theater, but come hang with my friends.
Yes.
You'll be in DC and we'll still be talking about DC.
And you'll be talking. Yeah, there we go. It's a DC kind of day. And then we'll see you later this month for some subpar 5e action.
Yeah.
Boring. Damn. It's not even subpar. I'll just be
I know.
bored.
I think we're going to be disappointed with how these characters port to 5e, but you know what? We got to fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Also, Scott, I'm so sorry for the amount of times that little trash can. I need to work on their potty mouth.
Nope, no, you don't. It's perfect. Don't go a-changing.
Don't go a-changing.
All right. Don't any of y'all go changing. Thank you, Pocket Pals. We love you.
You're the best.
And we'll see you around Discord and next week. Goodbye.